Welcome back, everybody, to the Moving Average Podcast, episode 4 now. In a new location yet again, but this time the mics are right in front of us, each of us. So the audio quality should be far improved. And a new little backdrop with a dining table, nice and cinematic. But good little episode ahead of us. We've got five main topics. There's Bolt raising $68 million for an online checkout experience. Superhuman, the email app, running into a little bit of drama. There's Deutsche Bank laying off 18,000 employees. Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency getting a letter from the U.S. government, and actually also Europe is now looking at it. And Virgin Galactic is talking IPOs for space tourism, so you can now go to space for a big enough check. I guess, yeah.
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. So Bolt is a e-commerce company. They just raised $68 million. I actually don't know what round it was.
It was B.
Series B.
Just the B round.
Interesting for a couple reasons. One is that e-commerce, like the tech stack there, I didn't really see it as a lot of room for innovation left, but like that's kind of how it always goes, I guess.
Well, I think that there's like, it kind of looks like that on the surface, but when we're talking about like big players already in the space like Shopify, they're still growing so much year by year, you know? So I think, you know, it kind of looks like that on the surface, but every year more and more people buy something online. Like we're not talking a lot about the US, but internationally, e-commerce growth is still going crazy. You know, I've been looking into the numbers in Brazil lately, and you know, by 2020, just in a couple of years, the amount of people who have bought something online is going to rise 10%. And in a population of, you know, 350 million people, that's a big deal. So there's a ton of growth left in terms of just people getting onto the internet, getting onto e-commerce. Yeah.
I thought it was one of the interesting things they do is they don't ask to like save your info or make an account or anything till after the checkout. Like that was one of the things I read. That was pretty interesting. Like
Seamless.
Small feature, but adds up. The other reason I this was a notable thing is that there was another company called Bolt that also just raised $68 million. I don't actually know anything about that company, but I saw a tweet that was like, there's not a VC bubble, and then there's two companies named Bolt raising the exact same amount of money.
Yeah.
Do you know about the other company?
So it's later stages in India. It's like a international transport network company. So essentially it's like helping drivers, essentially like
I feel like the
giving
name
tools.
works better for that.
Giving them tools to like find the better rides, lower commissions, stuff like that.
And that brings the original Bolt. Oh, they had Allbird. I saw that Allbird executive or their founder was one of the participants of the round. Pretty cool. I mean, makes sense because e-commerce, but they were like all e-commerce.
Yeah.
And I saw most of Bolt's like customers were like those individual storefronts, not like an Amazon. But that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to say for Bolt.
No.
Moving on. Superhuman had some drama. If you don't know what Superhuman is, it's like the I'll let you do the explanation because
for Superhuman.
Yeah, you know more about it than I do.
So it's a brand new email experience that's taken, you know, SF and people in tech by storm.
Yeah, I've been on the wait list for months.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
They have like something crazy like 80,000 people on the wait list right now. They've been operating for over a year and onboarding people every month, but essentially it's just a new email. They tried to make Gmail better, and so you paid $30 a month for that. Nobody's really released an email platform that's done that before. You know, they have a lot of advanced features. It looks beautiful. They really just honed in and did everything they could to improve that process.
I mean, in theory, it makes sense. Gmail is functionally very old.
Yes.
And so the thought is, if you were to build this from the ground up, how would it differ?
Yeah.
That makes sense. And people do, like everybody on Twitter that has it, saying amazing things about it. And it's not it's not just about like speed. I mean, speed's a big part of it, but like when with the onboarding process, I thought that's pretty interesting. You don't need an onboard for Gmail, but I also don't use any shortcuts. But it'd be interesting to see if I went through that onboarding with Superhuman versus if I knew all the shortcuts on Gmail. Where's the delta there? I guess.
Yeah, they have more features than that too.
Oh yeah.
They have a lot more features like that, and it's super mobile optimized, super web
Yeah.
optimized. It helps you organize your own mailbox. So like, they really and onboarding. They're onboarding right now just because they're so early, and they're founded by a repeat entrepreneur. You know, everybody knew about it. It was exclusive. It had viral growth. This is a company people want to invest in.
Yeah, they just did another round, right?
Yeah, they've raised close to 100 million, I think, at this point.
And so the drama that we haven't touched on is there was like this whole flurry of bad, but not terrible, but just like a lot of press about their location tracking data, red statuses on the emails like you'd have on iMessage, and then remote images apparently is part of it. But there were a lot of, I'm trying to see if I can get a quote here. But the interesting part was seeing the response because it was almost in real time. I saw this go down on Twitter. There's a bunch of people, everyone talking about it, and like some people defending it, being like, everyone does this. Like, what are you getting mad about? And some people being like, this shouldn't be the norm. And then I don't really know which way it would go. I had good expectations of how they would respond just because of the good brand they have so far. And then the CEO, Rahul Vohra, do you know how to pronounce that?
No.
Okay. Well, he did a tweet thread responding to it, and this is like within a day or two of all of the press. And the big changes were, I'll just read through the tweet thread. He says, "I'm so very sorry for how our red status feature made folks feel. We did not imagine the potential for misuse. Now we're learning and changing. We're making some big changes to Superhuman. We are removing location tracking, deleting location data, turning red statuses off by default, and building an option to disable remote images." And this was interesting just because he responded so quickly and so concisely and really maturely.
Yeah.
It's like good to see.
Yeah. And I think going back to the issue that it originally was, it was mostly like when people would open an email that was sent from a Superhuman account, it would ping their IP addresses, their exact location. It wouldn't let the person know where they opened the email. But a lot of, I used Yesware for a long time, which is a startup up in Boston. They do the same thing. HubSpot does the same thing. A lot of companies have done this. I enjoyed using it. I didn't really care about the location, but I enjoyed knowing when someone opened the email.
Yeah.
I think it's a really valuable feature. So that's specifically what they came down under.
I mean, that's not the worst thing to be criticized for, and they responded very well.
Very well.
I think it's a positive thing for them, probably.
Yeah, they handled it very well.
Yeah. Next up, Deutsche Bank. Was this next? Yeah, this was.
It
So
is.
Deutsche Bank it has announced that they are laying off 18,000 people, which is a lot of people.
Which is almost the size of Chapel Hill when the students aren't here.
Yeah.
When the students aren't here.
That's pretty crazy. And the reason I first paid attention to it was there was a nice picture on Twitter of the announcement, like an article, and then it's two of the people got laid off, and they're carrying a bag with Bitcoin on it. So of course I was drawn to it. But that's a big, Deutsche Bank is huge, and that's obviously a huge.
Deutsche Bank is huge. They, came under a lot of heat and had a lot of sanctions after the Great Recession. They had a lot of sanctions about their trading business and certain types of trades that they were allowing, certain loans they were issuing that they shouldn't have. So right now, essentially with this 18K layoff, like they're shutting down most of their trading business. They're taking off kind of most buying and selling people on that floor, and they're shutting down most of their business. So it's really interesting. Really is, they've had issues a lot, but it's really, you got to think like, what is the finance industry going to do? Like, what's the next
I would love to
step?
dive further in. Like, I don't really know the core causes behind that, but like, I imagine just even the basics, like ETFs and mutual funds these days, are a huge detractor of sales and trading for those banks now, just because those exist and that outperforms an active trader picking the individual ones.
Yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the digitalization and everything like that as well. But yeah, no, I included this one because there's a guy with a Bitcoin bag. It's pretty
Long Bitcoin.
long Bitcoin. That's been
13K.
pretty crazy recently. I've been
13K.
doing that leverage trading on
Yeah.
BitMEX. Yeah, that's been fun. But that's a story for another time. But while we're talking about cryptocurrency, so 4 U.S. lawmakers sent Facebook a letter about their Libra project. And actually, just today, I also saw that the European monetary or something is looking into it and how it would affect their financial system. But this was a little bit ago. Have we talked about this before? No,
We've talked about Libra.
but not this letter.
No.
Yeah. So this is the quote, and just hearing that this is from 4 U.S. Lawmakers. It appears that these products may lend themselves to an entirely new global financial system that is based out of Switzerland and intended to rival U.S. monetary policy in the dollar. This raises serious privacy, trading, national security, and monetary policy concerns for not only Facebook's over 2 billion users, but also for investors, consumers, and the broader global economy. And just them saying that is
They're
like,
scared.
yeah, that's admitting like, oh shit. Like,
We're scared.
yeah, somebody should tell them about Bitcoin. Okay, can't shut that down. Bitcoin never gets shut
Not
down.
based in Switzerland, no.
But that does kind of lend itself back to, I think we used this analogy in the last one, that Libra is the dollar, in which Bitcoin is the gold in that system, or like analogy wise. But
Yeah.
definitely interesting to see. Facebook is like the biggest country, right? Would they be? Is China over 2 billion? No.
No.
So like if they actually did that, they'd be the biggest financial system in the world in their company, or I guess their organization, the Libra organization. That's pretty crazy. And like, I guess the U.S. is rightfully scared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. People in the government definitely should be. Like, I definitely don't want anarchy or anything like that, but they are. Yeah, it may look rough for them. I actually know a co-creator of Libra. So shout out Morgan Beller over there killing it at Facebook.
Hey.
Shouts out.
Shout out.
She's killing it. But want to go to Virgin Galactic?
Yeah. So Virgin Galactic. I'm gonna really lean on the article here because I don't know. My buddy texted me about this and he goes, "Hey, you want to split a share of Virgin Galactic?" And my first response was like, you can buy part of a share. You don't need to buy a whole share. But Richard Branson, do you know he's a big guy, right?
So he's the founder of Virgin
Airlines.
He's worth Virgin everything. Virgin owns.
They more
Virgin's
than
a holding company. They
Oh.
own a ton of stuff. He got big in the '90s off a record label company under Virgin, then just started building businesses. He's awesome. He's worth a couple billion. Been an entrepreneur since 15.
Light work.
He owns an island,
Oh.
Nasper's Island, I think, something like that. But anyway, Richard Branson's awesome. Virgin Galactic's kind of been a hobby of his, sort of, for a little bit, since that's what
His
billionaires do.
equivalent of like Blue Origin and SpaceX.
Yes, it's the exact same.
Although, so Blue Origin, I know, so Virgin Galactic's really all around space tourism.
Yes.
I know Blue Origin is focused on that, but then SpaceX is like the
exploration,
different.
and then SpaceX like is trying to be more like NASA, I think.
Okay.
In terms of, I think they want to do tourism as well, but they're both. And then Virgin Galactic, I think they've taken money from the Saudis, I think $1 billion or something like that. They're very active in the Middle East. So essentially, like, what's happened in this IPO, it's pretty weird. Like, Virgin Galactic obviously didn't want to disclose a lot of financial details, so they made this deal with a guy who's pretty famous in San Francisco called Chamath something. I'm forgetting his last name, but he founded Social Capital.
Yeah.
Was made a billionaire off Facebook. Was very controversial at Social Capital. But anyway, he IPO'd this little side company a couple years back in 2017. And right now what he did, they merged this public company with Virgin Galactic, which is private. So by doing this, since they're merging and Virgin Galactic itself is an IPOing, they don't have to disclose. They don't have to file S1. They don't have to disclose
Nice.
a lot of their
I mean,
financial
not nice,
details.
but also nice. That's
Yeah,
cool.
so they kind of, Richard Branson and Chamath, paired up, did this deal. It's pretty cool. So they released some stuff.
Them are only taking a 49% stake, which is interesting. Combined, the companies are $1.5 billion. And this quote is pretty summary of it. Galactic will become the first and only publicly traded commercial human spaceflight company. Would you use that?
That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Would you do it?
Buy shares?
No, go to space.
Depends the price.
Well, yeah, but like,
I would go.
If it was gifted to you, would you?
I would go. Yeah,
Really?
I would go. So one thing I thought was interesting, they had to disclose some numbers. They have 600 customers right now in 60 different countries, resulting in 80 million in revenue.
Most agreeing to pay 200 to 250,000 per seat.
That's insane, though. That's insane that 660 people around the world already have tickets to go to space with something that hasn't even been proven.
It is. There's a lot of rich people in the world.
A lot when you hear that number.
It's a business that will be doing almost 600 million of revenue in 2023 at almost 50% profit margins. Is what Chamath this is his last name. I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation.
Yeah.
Palahapitiya.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
That is, I mean, obviously, if they're doing 600 million at a 50% margin, that's.
I mean, but
valuable.
they've been negative the last since 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know. Would you bet? I have a hard time betting against Bezos, but I don't know if that even. I guess that probably isn't a winner take all market. They could both exist and operate, right?
Bezos?
Yeah, with Blue Origin, because I know that the
Blue
tourism
Origin's
is a part.
Isn't you think deep sea exploration would rival this?
No, Blue Origin, the Bezos' space company.
Isn't that deep sea?
That's space.
Oh, okay.
But I think Bezos is somewhere in the middle with Blue Origin, in the middle of where SpaceX and Virgin Galactic is. I think Bezos is outward spoken that Mars is a bad place to live, but I don't think he's fully space tourism. Although maybe he is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, Virgin Galactic is expected to compete directly with Blue Origin, the rocket venture founded by Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos. They've developed different technologies, but both firms plan to offer minutes-long trips to suborbital space that take passengers high up into the atmosphere before coming back down to Earth. That I would do. If it's a short trip, I would do like a day trip essentially. I wouldn't go up and
day trip to space.
Spend a night up there, or like I don't know. I think about like Mars, which is years or months away. That's terrifying. But yeah, question of the day: would you go to space for $200,000, or for any price? Would you want to do that? I mean, it's probably pretty cool, but like, what would that feel like? I guess I don't know. Yeah. It'd be hard not to. I mean, if somebody gave you a ticket, would you say no? Like no, you would go. But how much would you pay for it?
It depends where I'm at in life.
Of course. Where's market value there though? Like of airplanes, like if an airplane ticket is $500 to get from across the Atlantic Ocean,
minimum,
10 grand.
Yeah, you gotta be up there.
Yeah.
For minimum price. I mean, until it gets cheap enough.
Yeah.
That it's some public transportation, but.
Public space transportation. That'd be pretty cool.
Hey, 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Elon did do that
years.
relandable thing that he was talking about. Well, that wraps it up for episode 4 of the Moving Average podcast. Now with the mics 50% closer to our mouths.
I like it.
Thank you for watching. Tune in next week.